Welcome back to another Inktober video. This might actually be the last one, we'll see. So, this one I went pretty simple. I think I drew it the night before or the day before because I was just trying to get some planned a little bit further into the future that I could transfer because I obviously needed to film. So, yep. It wasn't going to be anything too detailed and crazy, just went with a face. If you hear any noises, we're having a bit of a storm coming in again, so yeah, I have to get this done and hope that everything holds together so I can get these uploaded and scheduled, because it's currently Saturday, we got some snow, and I leave on Monday, so hopefully this all holds together for me. So I just kind of had this thought of a creepy face. I wanted to give them a lot of piercings. I really dig piercings, so yeah, that's pretty much my reasoning for that one. There it is. I always really like the charm of the sketch before I transfer it, especially with the yellow underneath. I like doing a yellow under sketch for a lot of these. Then whenever I put the lines over the top, you can see it better when you're transferring without getting confused with the yellow lines, or with, the undersketch. But 2, there's something about the contrast between the undersketch and what I put over the top that I just really like it. This one was pretty chill to do. Again, it's just a face, and it's not perfectly symmetrical. I'm not really great at that. It's a skill I don't have and should probably work at a little bit more. But I wanted some heavy blacks in here. Wanted him to have an X over his eye, but after I started making it, kind of shift and bend to fit the face, it ended up looking a little dangerously not like an X, but hopefully it still comes out as an X and nothing else. But yeah, I went ahead and I did some like dermals, a bunch of nose rings, cartilage, the wakes. I do tend to do a lot of this really long flopped over hairstyle. I don't know why. I guess I just like it. I just think it's cool or something. And this really long tongue. It was so funny. I was showing my sister these because she came here for the last market that I didn't get to go to. And we're going through all the pictures and we get to this one. She goes, ugh. Yeah, I thought that was funny. Whereas my mom was like, I don't know how you come up with these. I don't know what's going on in that head of yours. And I'm just like, you probably don't want to. I did make the mistake of, I usually go and I make certain elements the cooler gray and other ones the warm grays. But in this case, I accidentally mixed it up a little bit on the face. And for a while it looked a little muddy to me, but then watching the video back, it didn't look horrible. So, yeah. Hopefully, that's okay. My mom and sister were saying that as my birthday present, they're gonna try to take me to a Blick store while we were gone. So, I've been kind of looking forward to that because I've always wanted to go to one, but I've never been to one. Around where I live, there aren't any Blick stores. I'd have to travel quite some ways to go to something like that, which is just not worth it. But if we're already there, and there is one, it would be really cool. So that would be cool. Hopefully I do get to go to one, because, yeah. Actually, someone who's followed me for a really long time recommended this store to me. When was it? 2009? 2019, maybe? I think sometime around there, because I think that's when I went and watched an Aaron Blaise lecture. Yeah. And they lived there, so I was like, well, maybe I'll get to go. And then the weather was terrible, and I think there was just a lot of traffic as well. And so if we had gone over there, it probably would have been closed by the time we made it. So, yeah, didn't work out. And then when I went to Oregon, there was a Blick store and a regular art store over there, and both were closed by the time we were able to like look them up and find some time to go. So I have bad luck with things like that. But it would be pretty cool to actually go into a store like that and look around. Maybe if I can find them, I will grab a few more brush tips for my markers because the poor things are fraying. And then I went through this picture and I was just adding the black with this 0.10 marker. Micron, sorry. Because I just didn't want to use up my brush too much before I leave. I'm afraid of it dying while I'm gone, and if I don't end up making it to an art store, I would have to come back and fill in all of those, and I just don't want to be that behind. I'm already really stressed about trying to keep up with Inktober while I'm gone. Not that I've never gone anywhere. Actually, I think we always end up going on vacation or coming back from vacation when it's October, so... Just something that I have to deal with, I guess. I'm trying to get slightly ahead so that the flying days aren't a big deal. So there's the inked picture. Honestly, it looked fine like this without adding anything. But because all the other ones have marker, I can't just leave it. It was my plan to just do black and white pictures this year. I really wanted to do either black and white or ink wash, but this whole trip kind of threw a stick in the spokes for that and tossed me over the handlebars, and I needed to figure something else out, so that's why I ended up going back to markers and stuff again. And this paper, because I had this one. Last year I did it on my gray sketchbook. Really like that one, but this one's been lovely as well. It's the same type. It's the Strathmore, but one is the tone tan and one is the gray, so yeah, I really, really like the texture and feel of this paper. If anyone's ever used it, you might understand. But you can see I wanted to go blue with the hair and blue with the tongue, and then with the piercings and things like that. And only keep the skin the warm gray. But I ended up picking up my gray markers and going over the top of my gray. And I'm like, why? My warm gray. So yeah, I was like, why did I do that? Why was I not paying attention? I'm usually really good about it. I separate them. I keep the warm gray markers on my left and the cool gray markers on my right. Yeah, and then here's me going over the top trying to fix what I have done. And in this moment, it looks super muddy to me as I'm face to face with it and I'm trying to fix it. But honestly, looking at it right now, it's not that bad. It could be so much worse. And it was still drying, so it will have a bit of a shift and lay down and be fine after that. I wanted him originally to have some like snake kind of feelings. I don't know, like maybe to the teeth. But then as I was drawing, I think he started looking a little bit more like an arachnid. So that's okay. I could lean into that. I think I have something similar with a few of last year's. I have a guy who looks more snake-like and a girl who looks a bit more like a spider. I had a lot of fun doing this tongue. I love drawing the long, pointy, or split tongues. I always have. Actually, silly fun fact, back in the day, I really, really considered getting my tongue split. I have since nixed that idea. But at the time, I was like, oh, that'd be sick. Because I watched a ton of videos where people, like, learned how to do a bunch of tricks and stuff with them. And I always wanted to get, like, built up fangs or something. And, yeah, never did that. Actually, one of my canines on one side is, like, fairly sharp on its own. I think he looked creepier when I actually made his triangle eyes black instead of that white. Actually, when I put it in, I just thought that was such a funny shift. I kept looking at it and half laughing to myself. Trying to add a little bit more contrast on some of the jewelry because I'm like, dude, all this metal looks a little too samey with the skin. So I was struggling with that a little bit, but I knew I was going to go over the top with some white and that would pull it a little bit more, but I still didn't want to rely on that to get all of my contrast. So I was messing with it a little bit. Because I really like the difference between that black very nearly that shows up on most metal as it's like reflecting what's around it, mixed with that really bright highlight that usually sits right over it or right up against it. So I was really trying to capture that. But it wasn't perfect. I think on the ones that I use the ink to get that look, it seems better, but yeah. And then as I was going, I decided to add some texture with some of the highlights that I put in with the pencil. I really like that like weird directional hatching. I got into it a few years ago and have not been able to stop doing it. And maybe it's that thing where once you notice something, you can't stop, but I started to see a lot more people using that directional technique since I started doing it. Obviously not because of me. I'm just thinking, man, we must have all saw the same thing at some point, but I don't know what. Still don't know where it came from. I just have always really liked hatching, and I've been experimental with it for a really long time, and eventually kind of started leaning towards this. Not on every picture, but on quite a few these days. Slap my hand over his entire face. As you do. Kind of trying to smooth out the highlight that I put in his hair because it was a little too blocky in comparison anyway. So here's the bright highlights now. These will start pulling a lot of the metal out. I wanted his dermal to look really close to the surface, so I added that bunch over the top. Just so it looks a little precarious. Like if someone bumped it, it would just like pull out of the skin. Not that he doesn't look dangerous enough. I have a lot of really creepy, weirdo characters. It's just fun. Just fun to make things like that and fit them into a world with a few normal people and a couple other freaks like them. This highlight really started finally pulling this nose ring out. I constantly do that where I'm really trying to study the face, like leaning back and trying to look at it as a whole and figure out where everything is going. Now we're going to do our little close-up. Look at this mess. Very cute. He just wants a treat. Don't be scared. Yeah, so that's the finished picture. I hope that you liked it. Have a good day or night, and bye.